All right, here we go.
Okay, well, wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming on and investing some time today and listening into this wonderful call, all about why menopause matters, not just to you, but to all of us women as we go through this chapter of life. So, Tanya, I might get you to start sharing the slideshow if you don't mind. So, for those of you that have your cameras on, thank you so much. We really appreciate the visual. And as I said earlier, for those of you that have got them off, that's fine as well. I hope that you've got a notepad and a pen ready because, as I said, this is going to be a jam-packed session. There's going to be a lot of new innovation in science and natural wellness that you're going to hear about today that can really help you or someone that you know. And if you have questions, you're most welcome to pop those questions in the chat, and I can address them as we're going through the presentation, as Tanya is presenting, or we can also address them at the end of the presentation. So I'll just do a little bit of an introduction so that we're not strangers. So my name's Angela Lucenti, and if you haven't guessed it yet, I do have an accent and I'm based in Australia. So I gather that most of you are from either Canada or USA. Please drop in the chat where you're calling in from, what city in the world. I'm in Melbourne, Australia, and I feel very grateful to be on this call today. It's almost midday here, so it's the middle of our day, and it's Friday. So I'm in the future. I always love to say that when I'm on these international calls, I'm in the future. So welcome, Catherine from Kelowna. I know where that is because that's where Tanya's from. So I am a hormone balance and menopause coach, and I somehow ended up in this field because of my own curiosity of when I started to go through perimenopause and then, of course, going through menopause. It really was a challenging time, not just for me, but also for my family and those that I spent a lot of time with, because as you would all know, it comes with a lot of emotional instability. There are changes physically in our body. There are changes emotionally in our life. And for me, I was just looking in the mirror and not even recognizing the woman that I was anymore. And it really bothered me. It bothered me that I couldn't do the things that I used to do, and I used to do so naturally and easily. And it bothered me that I didn't have my same temperament that I used to have. I wasn't able to deal with situations the way I used to. And of course, still being a wife and a mum and having a career, I went looking outside the square because I really wanted to try something natural. Because of my own curiosity and through that journey of discovery, I realized that I was so passionate about this topic that I really wanted to give back and start helping other women to navigate this chapter. And it was through that process that I met Tanya Gustafson, who is an absolute incredible award-winning nutritionist and fitness coach. She's also a level 1 melt instructor. And if you don't know what melt is, please reach out to Tanya because it's an amazing program, a way, especially through menopause, to really help with mobility. She's also a former educator, behavior interventionist, speaker, columnist. She's done some amazing articles recently for some of the local papers there in BC. But mostly, I love that she's an incredible grandma to one beautiful little boy. She's also a mum of three and a wife to Brian. And I love that I get to work with her every single day. And we get to do things like this. We get to show up on calls with women that we may or may not know who are really looking for help. And that's what this call is all about for you today. It's a safe place for you to listen in, get some really good, I guess, education and lessons, but also to ask those questions that you need so that you can move forward in this chapter. Menopause is an evolution, it's a transformation as we go through this change of becoming, I say, who we are meant to be. And if we look at it that way, I see it as one of the most privileged changes that women go through because when you do get to the other end, and you can impact other women the way we're about to today, that is an absolute gift. So right now, I just want to hand it over to Tanya, and please, as I said, make sure you've got your pen and notepad ready. And Tanya, please take it away.
Oh, thank you so much, Angela. So, for that wonderful introduction, thank you, ladies, for taking the time to be here with me tonight. And so there's just a few pictures of my family so that we're not complete and total strangers. I know a lot of you have probably found me via the Castanet articles or the Kelowna Daily Courier articles, or maybe you're in Penticton with the Herald. And that's just a wonderful platform that I get to share, and I really, really enjoy meeting and chatting and getting to get to know all my readers. And so anyway, thank you so much for being here. So as we get started here, before we dive into symptoms and solutions, it's really important that we understand where you are in your journey and what to watch for. So we're going to go ahead and first dive into the differences between perimenopause and menopause. And just so I know where everyone's at, if you are comfortable, please go ahead and drop a P if you're in perimenopause, or M if you're in menopause, if you know the difference. Sometimes you might just be like halfway in between or something like that, right? All right, 1 second here. Oh my goodness, I just lost my slide here for a second, but it's coming right back. I am not a tech expert. Just ask Angela, she knows. All righty, we're back. Here we go. All right, so the differences between the two. All righty. So perimenopause is basically the time leading up to menopause, right? It can last a few months, it can last several years. And just if that's where you are right now, just know the chances are low, but you know, cycles are irregular and all the things. So you can still become pregnant. That can happen. And hormonal changes can cause, you know, many symptoms, just like menopause. They can be very similar, menopause and perimenopause. Menopause is the official end of the menstrual cycle. And if you've had no cycles for 12 consecutive months, like one whole year, then you're officially in menopause. They say the average age is 51. I was more like 49. It happens a little earlier for some than others. Some are very, very young. And oh, I'm just hearing some noise in the background. Is that me or is that somebody else? Anyway, if you're coming into the chat, if you're a little bit late here, thank you for coming. If you could just mute yourself, that would be really great so we don't get any background noise. And so here are some of the most common symptoms below here that nobody loves, but we all know about, right? The hot flashes, the night sweats, mood swings, vaginal dryness, poor sleep, difficulty concentrating, like you walk into a room and go, why am I here? It's a thing, but there's a lot of symptoms actually that a whole host of symptoms that women suffer with, and they're not realizing that the connection is coming from the perimenopause or menopause. So here's another slide that's much more accurate and comprehensive. It's got a whole list of them here. Now, take a look at some of these, and if you see some that are familiar, it's making you cringe. I get it. Just drop a 1 down below if that's you, if you see a symptom you've been struggling with. Drop a 2 if you see something that you've been experiencing but had no idea that it was related to menopause. Okay? So I'm just going to give you a sec to do that and just drop that down below. Because yeah, oh my gosh, there's a whole bunch of things like dizziness and allergies, body odor, tingling extremities. Like who would have ever thought of that, right? We think of the weight gain and the breast pain and the bloating and the low libido and all the stuff, but the brittle nails and the hair loss and some of those kinds of things might not have twigged to you that it's, you know, that's what's happening. Okay, so I'm just going to check the chat here because I can't see as often. Okay, so we've got some too. There we go. Look at that. All right. Thanks for participating. It always makes it so much more fun. So, okay. So go ahead and raise your hand and say yes if you've been told by someone, so maybe a nice someone like your mom, your grandma, your friend, colleague, workmate, even maybe your doctor has told you that what you're experiencing is just like, quote, normal, that you should expect it, that there's nothing you can do about it, or even that you're not old enough yet for any of these things. So what are you talking about? You know? Okay, drop a me or raise your hand if that's been you below. So many questions, right? And honestly, it's really sad and frustrating that questions like this, you're asking all these questions and people are ignoring you. They're not taking you seriously. And a lot of the questions, the symptoms are affecting what we're asking. So here's why so emotional, right? Okay, the emotional roller coaster, the most significant reason is that the fluctuation in hormones, like the estrogen level has a bit of a decline. That affects the neurotransmitters, such as your serotonin, which regulates mood. It also has to do with sleep. If you're not making the serotonin, you're not making the melatonin that can help you sleep. So it leads to a whole host of, the sadness, the irritability, the mood swings. Not fun. Another side to all of this is a whole bunch of BS. I say BS with tongue in cheek. Blood sugar. When your blood sugar is stable, that supports hormonal balance. Okay, so if your blood sugar is not stable, your hormones can't be stable. So serotonin is a hormone. And even though your estrogen's declining, it totally makes sense that if you would balance your blood sugar so that the hormones that you do have that are present, whatever, the amount that you have, can balance so that you can bring your body back into balance and work together rather than fighting itself. Okay, is that making sense? If that makes sense, go ahead and drop yes down below. Blood sugar and hormonal balance go hand in hand. They're like twins, six sisters. They like to be hand in hand. So if your blood sugar is not stable, hormones cannot be balanced, they are connected. So that's something to remember. I'm always going to drive that home. Why can't I sleep? Sleep is huge. Maybe your sleep is disrupted, like the night sweats, the hot flashes, joint pain, all the things that can disrupt sleep. Constant or even intermittent disruption can negatively affect your moods, your energy, your ability to function the next day because you're not getting into that deep restorative sleep. The other symptoms, right, like the weight gain, the breast pain, all the discomforts physically may be preventing you from getting to sleep because you're just not comfortable, right? And any and all of these symptoms now are then magnified the next day, including if you have any illnesses, conditions, or diseases, they are all magnified with lack of sleep. Sleep is when your body does its housekeeping, right? It's cleaning and flushing out the toxins. It's also a time when your body does its healing and repairing. And so when your sleep is disrupted, those things can't happen, or at least not as effectively as they would normally be had you, had your good solid 8. Okay, so why am I sore? You haven't been to the gym, or if you have, it's like a different kind of sore. You're getting aches and pains in places, spots that are showing up that you didn't injure and you really can't explain. Well, normal estrogen levels help to control inflammation. So pain and joint pain and injuries and all that kind of stuff, they're inflammatory. So as your levels decline, it becomes more difficult for your body to manage pain. So that increases any stiffness, soreness, pain, mobility, all of that. So anytime you're experiencing any of those things, the pain, the discomfort, the irritation, anything like heat or redness, anything like bloating or weight gain, brain fog, literally like all the symptoms that was on that little human chart a few slides ago, all the symptoms we're talking about are inflammation. They're all inflammatory. So not only does the inflammation cause the discomfort now, it's the root cause of all disease. And so it's not specific to joint pain, but chronic inflammation in any area, the inflammation that persists, that we're told that because it's just the way it is and you can't do anything about it, it's actually setting you up to increase the risk for disease the longer it continues. Because if someone's telling you you can't do anything about it, you're not looking to minimize that or mitigate those symptoms, right? You're just thinking, well, I got to wait until it goes away. Not true. I'm here to tell you, not true. You can totally reverse them. But inflammation, I just want to clarify inflammation. In small doses, it's good. Okay? You can cut yourself. It hurts, it gets red, maybe it's a bit hot, your body, that's your body signaling for the stem cells to come and do the healing. And when we leave it alone, the cut just heals up, right? Like most things, it's too much of a good thing is never a good thing though. So what happens when you accidentally scratch off that scab and it bleeds and then starts the process all over again? Now it's itchy. What happens if you keep picking it? You keep scratching. It doesn't heal properly, right? Like it would become inflamed, infected. If you did that long enough, you'd need some antibiotics to take care of the infection that you caused, right? So think about that happening on the inside of your body, the chronic inflammation. That's just, something's just not healing. So not specific to joints, but can be anywhere. So just like that you take a prescription, you would need the prescription to clear up the nasty cut, right? Persistent menopause symptoms are often prescribed prescription meds as well. So I'm not here to bash medications. If you're on medications, that's not my aim here. I'm not going to shame anyone for taking medications, not at all. We just all know that they come with their own set of side effects, which can be challenging, right? Because they're just not comfortable as well. So which is why we focus here on applying holistic solutions and creating balance in the body, and applying holistic solutions so that we can bring down the inflammation, increase and up level your health so that you can feel the benefits. And how do we do that, right? It's never just one thing. So there are 6 plates, and plates because, food and food is your foundation. So I always start with nutrition first. What we put in matters. And we will talk about how you can use food to create hormonal balance and stabilize blood sugar. Think about that. Eating the foods you love to create hormonal balance and stabilize blood sugar. Sounds amazing, right? It's totally true. Transformed my life, actually. And then sleep, we talked about how important that was to have the good quality sleep. So you need to have your sleep plate spinning. Exercise and daily movement. So intentional movement above and beyond your normal day-to-day that gets the body moving. And here's the key, and provides some resistance, which is important for building muscle. So you don't have to hit the gym every day. You don't have to be a gym rat like I am because I love it, but you don't have to do that. You don't have to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You just need to add something that challenges you a few times a week over and above what you're normally doing in your day-to-day, because if you don't, like, your body adapts, right? You're saying, well, I have a pretty physical job. I'm standing all day, or I'm always moving. I'm always active. Okay, that's great. Better than sitting, right? But if that's your normal every day, your body has adapted and now it's not being challenged, right? It would be like if you did go to the gym. I'm just going to use gym as an example. If you did go to the gym, you got a trainer, you got a new workout, that first workout is a killer, right? It's hard and you're sore the next day. And then you go the next session and it's hard again and you're ever so sore and it never gets easier. Like, how would you feel if it never ever got easier? Like, that just doesn't happen, right? After a couple of weeks, your body adapts. You're not so sore doing those same exercises, and you're like, hey, this is getting pretty good. I can lift more, I can move more, I can add more reps, because your body adapts. So if we don't challenge it, it's not going to change it, and we won't be able to build muscle. And you need to build muscle and maintain strength. So we're going to talk a little bit later why muscle mass is so important. Water. How much are you drinking and how well are you hydrated? Who has their water bottle with them? Come on, if you've been following me a while, you know all these 6 plates, but drink up. It's always good to have something with you. Every function your body and brain performs, it does so in water. Making sure to drink more water than coffee. Here we go. I'm sorry. More water than coffee, it's true, or any other liquid for that matter. It's critical to flushing out fat and toxins, reducing your brain fog, increasing your energy. It helps with digestion, elimination, so many things, okay? Like, water is life. And just a little stat here. When your body and your brain are properly hydrated, you can focus and attend 28% better just by drinking up, okay? So get that in there. Stress. Oh my goodness, stress. The stress plate. If your stress plate is wobbly, that's such a huge one. And especially over the last 3 to 4 years, right? I don't know anyone who hasn't been affected, right? Families have been experiencing a lot more stress than ever before. And how we respond or react to that stress affects all the other plates that we have here as well too. And stress, just to be clear, stress doesn't have to be negative. I mean, what happens when someone in your family has a baby? We're having another grandbaby in August. That'll be a disruption, but a
Nothing broken.
right? Oops. If you're not muted, can you just mute yourself out a little bit? Thank you so much. We just had a little bit of a, there we go. I can't see from here where I am. Alrighty. Yeah, so stress is huge, and it can be positive, something different happening, or it can be not so great. And that will still, your body doesn't know the difference. It just knows that you're stressed. Okay. Supplements are how you are filling your nutritional gaps. And let's just be clear, we all have gaps in our nutrition. The soil is depleted. There's, more pesticides and herbicides and glyphosates than ever before is being used in the growing process and the harvesting. Your food travels hundreds, even thousands of miles before it gets to your grocery store. So it's picked green, it has to ripen. Sometimes they gas the food when it gets there. Like, who's getting excited about a gas banana? Not me. The food is just not the same as when our grandparents or our parents, or even when I was a kid, right? So here's a little quiz for you. How many servings of fruits and vegetables did you eat today? I'm just curious. Drop your number down below. I'm gonna say, how many did I have today? I think I had, and I haven't had my dinner yet. I'm gonna have that after. So I had, whoops, 7. Okay, how are we doing? I'm just gonna scroll back here. There we go. Oh, okay, perfect. 5, that's great. All right, good job. So, remember when we were in school, I remember they said we should have between 4 and 6 servings, right? I don't know very many people who are doing that nowadays, but if you're not eating now, hold on, I hope you're sitting down. If you're not having 10 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, and that would be organic and non-GMO, so there's not full of toxins, right? You're missing some vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients. You're short on something. Okay, no one is doing that. So we know that we have gaps that we need to fill. And when we find and we fill those gaps, they also help to heal our gut. And we're going to talk about that as well too coming up. Okay, so looking at this slide, I'm sure all of us here know the foods on the right have more nutritional value than the foods on the left, correct? Like, it's not rocket science, right? On the left, we got all the processed, the package, the fast foods, the sugary foods, all the bad fats, the seed oil things, all the stuff. On the right, you've got the whole single ingredient, unprocessed fruits and veggies, all the lovely colors. When you see this though, how many of you ever referred to food as being good or bad? Like, how many of you would have looked at this and went, oh yeah, that's bad food. I probably shouldn't eat that. So if you've ever done that, if you've talked about food as being good or bad, drop a yes down below. Bad on the left, yeah. I would have called it bad too. I used to call it bad food for sure. Yes, okay, we got some yeses coming in for sure. Yeah, everyone's done it. I'm not surprised, right? Okay, so I'm going to tell you this though. Food is not good or bad. Here's a revelation. Hang on to this. Food is not good or bad. It either fuels your body or it fuels your soul. And you need both in order to have a healthy relationship with food. And only when you have a healthy relationship with food can you properly optimize your health. Okay. Dieting, especially for women in perimenopause and menopause, is front and center. And unfortunately, it's all based around restriction, deprivation, shaming. So I'm here to tell you that the memories are made around the table. So am I saying go out and eat takeout every night? No. But I'm also not ever going to tell you to skip out on a date night or an anniversary or a birthday celebration just because you're feeling like you need to lose a few pounds, right? Enjoying the celebrations is part of a healthy lifestyle. And that's a big part of the approach that we teach here at Fit Nutrition. So in order to bring down the inflammation, removing or even just minimizing those inflammatory foods and replacing them with whole single ingredient fruits and vegetables allows your body to flush out bloat, flush out the waste and the toxins. It's like doing an oil change for your car, right? So picture this. Your car in the driveway drives you around town. Your body is your vehicle that drives you through life. So your car in the driveway, you take it for an oil change. The mechanic comes out. He says he can save you a few bucks by leaving the dirty filter in, just adding the clean oil on top. What? That never happens. Why? He wouldn't do that, right? You'd be like, who is this guy? I'm not coming back here. It would be crazy, right? So you wouldn't do that with your body either. Pulling out the stuff that causes your body to retain bloat and waste so your body can naturally flush that out. Then you can start again and build from a place of health. Okay, so we call this a fit and four. And my clients who do this often start feeling and seeing results in the first few weeks. And you start getting results, right? So it's available to do every 3 to 4, 6 months, just like your car. Because, I mean, you buy a brand new car, you do the first oil change, that's not the last oil change, right? You never just do one, you do them at regular intervals as proper maintenance of your vehicle. And we need to do that too for our vehicle. Okay, you don't want to get stranded in your car at the side of the road, and you don't want to get stranded with your body, leaving you high and dry. Okay, so here's a few others that are known to be inflammatory, some food items that are known inflammatories for most people. All right, so gluten. Gluten's a biggie. So if you are of the avoiding the gluten people, it's a good idea because it disrupts your gut and it has that protein in it's really hard for your body to digest. And it causes a lot of bloating, a lot of discomfort. Now, here's a caveat though. If you are, you avoid gluten and you buy everything gluten-free does also not equal healthy or chemical free. Okay. So if you bought some gluten-free things, sure, it doesn't have gluten in it, but what else does it have in it? All right. Go and read the label. Think about our inflammatory foods that we're going to talk about here and see if it has any of those other things. Thinking also about what I talked about, the sprays and the glyphosates and the chemicals. Okay. So just keep that in the back of your mind. I'm not saying that you have to go on a rampage and throw out everything that's in your cupboard. I just want you to be aware. All right. Soy is another one. Soy is a very low, it's a complete protein, but it's a very low quality over here in North America. And it causes your body to bloat and store fat. It's also highly processed, like I said, and it causes inflammation. So you get kind of bloaty and yucky and gassy from it. So not a good choice. There's a lot of other things we could do. Dairy is another one that's a known inflammatory. So when your body doesn't have enough lactase to properly digest the lactose, and that will happen when your toxic load bucket is too high, which we're going to talk about, it can cause bloating and gas. Also, another tip, if if you have got a cold or the flu or your kiddos do, dairy also is a huge proponent of congestion and mucus buildup. The last thing you want when you have a cold or the flu is mucus buildup, right? So if you have that or your kids have that, take the dairy out until they're done, until that cold runs its course. You'll be much happier, trust me. Okay, alcohol, no matter how you cut it, alcohol is a toxin. It's full of sugar and it simultaneously dehydrates your body and bloats you as well. And it causes disruption in the gut. So just something to think about. They used to say, 3 to 4 drinks a week was safe. And then it was like 1 or 2. But now it's like, ultimately it is a toxin and it will cause those things. It's just to what degree is it causing those things and each individual person is different, right? So just to be aware, not to be judgy, just to be aware, because when you know things, knowledge is power. Okay, sugar. Sugar is super inflammatory. It creates blood sugar spikes. You find it in the packaged foods and stuff. We're not talking about sugars that you find in Whole Foods. And a lot of people, if you've ever heard this before, they'll say, oh, I'm on a diet. I can't eat bananas, or I can't eat pineapple, or I can't eat mango because it has too much sugar. Hogwash. I'm just going to say hogwash. If you know how to balance, those foods also have very high nutritional components. And removing those from your diet is removing some nutrients that you could otherwise be benefiting from. So, all right. Artificial sugars. Oh my gosh, those are things made in a lab. Anything that's fake that's made in a lab should not go in your body. Just saying. And your body doesn't recognize it. It's not a real food. It's a food-like substance. The result is bloating, gas, digestive issues, brain fog, weight gain, inflammation, and cell damage. I had a client one time. She did this, her Fit and 4, removing her inflammatory foods and all the things. And I had no idea when we first talked that she was a big user of artificial sweeteners. Okay. So she came back to me, even I think it was just a couple of weeks later. It wasn't very long. It wasn't the whole time. It was just a couple of weeks. And I said, so how's it going? How are you feeling? And we're talking about it. And she's like, it's just been life-changing. And I said, oh, tell me about that. And she said, it was like a curtain was lifted from in front of my eyes. She had so much brain fog. She was so bogged down and she was so grumpy and tired. And it was all, as soon as she pulled out the fake sugars, boom, the fog lifted. So it's really interesting. It can affect different people in different ways. And that's how it affected her. So coffee and soda. Soda, pretty obvious, right? Full of sugar, artificial sweeteners, artificial flavors and colors. And so it damages your gut, increases inflammation. The caffeine in the dark sodas, or actually some of the Mountain Dew has caffeine too, but caffeine mixed with the fake sweeteners, especially toxic. It creates excitotoxins, which means cell damage or death. And a lot of that occurs in the brain. A lot of people, when they give up soda, not only do they lose weight, like just without doing anything else, a lot of times I had a friend who lost 18 pounds because he replaced his soda with water. Crazy. It also helps with like the brain fog, because we talked about the artificial sweeteners, but it also helps with people who are maybe struggling with Parkinson's, dementia, Alzheimer's, those kinds of things. Those, I've seen those kind of, I can't say that it's reversing it or anything just because you've taken that away, but I've seen remarkable things happen. Let's just put it that way. Salt. Salt we need. Yes, we need salt. It's not a bad thing. Salting your food at the table, that's a good thing to be doing. Use your Himalayan salt, your sea salt, Celtic salt. Read the label on your salt. I know that sounds ridiculous because it's a single ingredient and salt's a preservative, but you'd be surprised what you would find in your salt. I'm just going to leave that there. I was shocked. So just get salt. And then the problem with extra salt doesn't come from what you put on. It comes from excessive amounts that come in your packaged, your processed, your condiments, your fast foods. It's just so loaded with salts and the MSGs. So a lot of times now it doesn't actually say MSG on the label because there are so many different names for MSGs. Companies are changing the names of things that they know we're looking for now. So if you Google other names for MSG, I did this a few years back. It was quite a few years even. And I got 2 pages of things that were otherwise called MSG. So you can look at that up. But anyway, sometimes you don't know which thing might be causing you the discomfort, right? You're like, oh my gosh, there's all these things. How do I know which one? Well, because sometimes we don't, because we eat things in combinations, right? Like take pizza, for example. Friday night comes, you order pizza, you watch a movie, you feel great. You sleep, everything, no, nothing's wrong. Other times you order the same pizza from the same place and it did not go well. Like you eat the pizza, you feel bloated and blah and yucky. You don't sleep well, maybe you have diarrhea, like your brain foggy. You're like, what the heck was in that pizza? Well, pizza has just about all the inflammatory foods in it or on it, as we've just talked about. But we have this toxic load bucket, like I mentioned a minute ago. So you can't see me because I'm in this small frame here, but picture like a bucket in your midriff here, in your core of your body here. The time that you felt good after eating the pizza, maybe that week, think of all your 6 plates now, okay? And the time that you felt good, maybe that week went really well and you did a lot of cooking at home every night. You didn't drown out your troubles on Wine Wednesday because the boss was away, so your stress was low at work. And so therefore your toxic load bucket was pretty low, right? There wasn't a lot of stuff in the bucket. But then just like that bucket when you're washing your car, remember you put the hose in, you turned around, you walked away for a minute and you came back and yeah. If you get there in time, you pull the hose out, you can pick up the bucket and move it to where you want without spilling, right? If you're just that split second too late, you pick up the bucket and it overflows everywhere, making a huge mess all over your deck, right? So that time when the pizza didn't agree with you, maybe you had a really stressful week. Lots of stuff was happening at home or at work. Your schedule was disrupted. So you ended up, picking up takeout on the way home and then you didn't have leftovers for lunch the next day. So dang, you got to order lunch out again. And so your toxic load bucket was pretty full by the time Friday night pizza night hit around. And then you put the pizza in on top of the bucket overflows. So is this making sense? If this is making sense, drop sense down in the comments below. Okay, if this is resonating with anybody. Okay, so removing or at least minimizing these foods that we know cause inflammation in most people just makes sense. So we know that inflammation is the root cause of all disease. We also know, here's a tidbit for you. We know that the inflamed body hangs on to weight, doesn't release it. That's one of the many reasons diets don't work. Or that's one of the reasons that diets they'll work until they don't, right? The body reacts to that initial restriction, deprivation, fasting, whatever it is that you're trying. And then because diets literally disrupt your blood sugar and throw your body out of hormonal balance, your body starts hanging on to everything you eat, you stop getting results. Then you get frustrated because you're doing things that are not only uncomfortable and restrictive, you're probably like grumpy and hangry and headachy and brain foggy, and your results have stopped. So then you're just like, throw in the towel, and then everything comes back on, right? Am I right or am I right? Right? I was a calorie counter. I used to count calories and fat grams all the time. I had these little sticky notes on my counter until I learned about all the things that I'm teaching you here tonight. Yeah, and as soon as I learned this and implemented it, I have not had to do that again. I immediately changed my body composition. It was amazing. So another subset of things that we take or use daily that can have a significant impact on your health and hormones, your endocrine system, is personal care products. Now, that's a huge category, so I can honestly have its own webinar. We could just do a webinar on that. So I'm not going to dive into that pool tonight, but I just want to encourage you all to go home and read the labels on your products that you put on your face, on your body, on your skin, your hair, on the daily or the weekly, and then Google a few of the ingredients that sound like a science experiment and just see. Okay, so removing and minimizing the inflammatory foods is a great start. It's like the oil change. And then also something the diets and the doctors, for that matter, never teach is to eat the foods, how to eat the foods you love in a way that creates a hormonal balance and stabilizes blood sugar that I've been talking about. So the BS of health, the BS of all health is blood sugar. Food is our foundation, and how it relates to blood sugar and hormonal balance is the underlying principle of what we live and what I've been coaching women here at Fit Nutrition for almost 14 years now. So I've been living this for 15 years. I didn't learn it for 22 years. I've been in this industry since 1986, and it took 22 years of going to health and fitness seminars where they only talked about fitness and very little about health. It took 22 years before I figured it out. But it's your body's love language. Okay, the way we were born into eating, you want to put your body into that middle zone. Okay, it's like being on cruise control. Think of your body like your car again, right? Okay, so my husband's a mechanic and I have a vintage Mustang, so the car analogy works for me. So thank you for indulging me. All right, the car in the driveway drives you around town. Your body is your vehicle that drives you through life. So just like your car, when you're driving on the highway in the summertime, it's beautiful sunny day, no traffic. You've got the air conditioning on. You put it in cruise control. It's a nice smooth ride, right? Like your car is operating at its most efficient. You get the best gas mileage there, like all the things, right? Then imagine you hit the first major city coming off that highway. It's Friday afternoon, rush hour traffic. It's 30 degrees. Your air conditioning breaks. The traffic comes to a standstill and you have to pee. It's not a comfortable ride anymore, right? That's the same with our bodies when your blood sugar is out of balance. It gets out of that cruise control zone, except it shows up in things like that discomfort about that downtown traffic on Friday shows up like weight gain, inability to lose weight, increase or more intense menopause or perimenopause symptoms, like the hot flashes get worse. There's more brain fog. You're just exhausted, but then you can't sleep at night, right? You get poor skin conditions are showing up, maybe hair thinning or the digestive issues, all the things. And the longer your body is out of balance, the greater the risk for developing metabolic diseases like your diabetes, like some cancers, even Alzheimer's, dementia, or Parkinson's, right? They're all metabolic, insulin-based, insulin-resistant based things. So, all right, here's one. How many of you here have heard that Alzheimer's is type 3 diabetes? How many of you have heard it called type 3 diabetes? Drop a number 3 in the comments if that is something that rings a bell with you. Okay. Oh, okay. We got someone who knows. That's awesome. Oh, we got a couple. You guys are on it. I love it. Okay, so yeah. So blood sugar is key, right? Doctors and scientists have been saying it for well over 10 years. It's just the mainstream has not really started telling people about it. So balancing your blood sugar is key. So how does your body get out of balance? Well, when you miss breakfast, you skip a meal, you take too long between meals, you don't eat enough, your blood sugar drops. Every time your blood sugar drops, your body burns muscle and it holds on to fat. Your energy crashes, it plummets, your cravings go up. And your body is literally set up to store fat with the next thing you eat, even if you're eating one of those good whole food, nutrient dense meals, right? Your brain, and this is why, your brain never shuts off, the brain in your head. Your body takes the food you eat, turns it to glucose, and sends it up to the brain. The brain needs glucose as food, which is, you never wonder why you're super hungry and you crave those carby, starchy things and sugary things. There you go. That's why. It's kind of a shortcut. But really, it will take the food you eat and turn it to glucose. So if you're not fueling your body, it needs a protein source to convert to glucose to send that fuel up to the brain. Where is it going to get the protein from if you're not feeding it? Well, your body has to find one. The only protein source your body has available is your muscle. So if you've ever had that gnawing hunger where you just feel like, oh my gosh, I have to eat my arm off, like that gnawing, it's called gnawing hunger for a reason. it's your body eating its own muscle. It's cannibalizing. Not a pretty picture. Sorry for the graphic image, but got to tell the truth here. So, but muscle is important for so many reasons. And that's why I want to drive this point home, especially in this time, especially for women. We need to start worrying, thinking about this long before we thought about it, but this is the next best time to do that. And especially when we're in perimenopause and menopause, because it will help and support all the balancing and the things. So muscle is important for so many reasons. It supports your bone density and the your immune function. Your muscle can absorb 3 to 4 times the amount of glucose that the liver can. So that helps to stabilize your blood sugar and prevent the insulin resistance. So if you're low on the muscle, it's low on all of those other things. And your muscle is what burns off the fat when your body does release it. Okay? So less muscle means you have a slower metabolism. Slow metabolism is not your age. Okay? Hello. Light bulb moment. Slow metabolism is not your age. It's the length of time you've been doing something that doesn't serve your body, which usually equates to someone saying, well, oh my gosh, as soon as I hit 40 or as soon as I hit 50, or some people are saying as soon as I hit 30, but it's the length of time you've been doing something that doesn't serve your body that's yielding a result. Small things consistently over time yield a result, okay? So now the other side of the blood sugar dropping is the blood sugar spike. So because you've missed breakfast or you skipped lunch or you didn't eat enough, when you do eat, typically we're eating too much. Even if you're eating, again, that whole nutrient dense foods with all the veggies and the lean meats and everything, your body can only metabolize a certain amount at a time. So where's the rest go? Stored as fat. Every time your body stores fat, that's the fluffy middle, right? Or the menopause belly, the muffin top, whatever you want to call it. Not something we want. So everything we are trying to avoid by skipping those meals, actually, the result is actually the opposite. Okay, so just thinking about that. So if you're done with diets, now that I've gone through all of this and the BS makes sense to you, drop done down below. I want to see who's done, who's finished with that, because I'm hoping that everyone's not going to try those again if you've ever done that. Perfect. I love that. Awesome. Perfect. Thank you. Yay. Give yourselves a hand. I love seeing all those dones. It makes me so happy. All right. Okay, so we touched on this a few minutes ago briefly, but the inflammation and unstable blood sugar have a direct impact on the gut and to your body's toxic load. So remember the bucket overflowing? Yeah, the toxic load. So the higher the toxic load you're carrying around, the more inflammation you have, excuse me, and that directly impacts the health of your gut and can cause injury to the microbiome. And since 70% of all the health is made in the gut, and 60 to 90% of the hormones and neurotransmitters needed to alleviate most of the symptoms associated with the perimenopause and the menopause. This is a huge deal and it needs to be addressed. So everything that happens in the gut also affects the brain. And the gut is known as your second brain. Anybody knew that? That your gut is your second brain? There's actually more signals and messages going from the gut up to the brain than from the brain down to the gut. And all this information travels along the vagus nerve, also called the gut-brain axis. It's the highway that connects the two. So back to the car analogy, when there's chronic inflammation, think of road construction or an accident on the highway. You have to wait for the workers to lay down the new pavement or fix the potholes, etc., right? Or for the firemen to call the tow truck and remove the smashed up car. And it takes so much longer to get to your destination, right? Okay, so the same idea is with the messaging along the GBX. So I'm just going to stop this for a second here because I've got a quick video to share with you. And I just wanted to make sure that it was loaded before I popped in here. So it is great because, I always want to check my tech. All right, thank you for your patience, everyone. Okay, so I've got my sound on, perfect. So I want you to turn this up here, and here's a quick video from a scientist and doctor who I've been blessed to be able to work with, Dr. Sean Talbot. He has a PhD in nutritional biochemistry, and he's an expert in the microbiome and the gut-brain axis, and he's far more versed in this than I will ever be. So let's just listen to Dr. Talbot.
Where we sit right now in history is right at the cusp of a complete paradigm shift in how we think about mental wellness. If we had a problem that we perceived here, it seemed like it made sense that it was in the brain and we should target the brain. And that's what we've been doing for the last 100, 200 years. What we're realizing now is that maybe that isn't our primary target. And what we're seeing here in the brain is a secondary effect of something else that's happening in the body. And what we've just learned in the last 5 to 10 years is that yes, that is a secondary effect. The primary effect, and therefore the primary target, is in the gut. That's the second brain. That's where we have 100 trillion bacteria in our intestines. That number is more than there are stars in the galaxy, in the Milky Way. So the gut microbiome makes more serotonin than the brain does. That's the feel-good neurotransmitter. It makes more dopamine than the brain. In order for these neurotransmitters in the gut to have their effect in the brain, they have to be able to communicate with each other. And they do that through chemicals that the gut makes, chemicals that the bacteria make, that travel throughout the body, that signal through the nervous system, that signal through the immune system. This idea of the gut-brain axis, targeting the brain, but targeting the second brain in the gut, and then targeting the communication network between them, that axis, that's really the forefront of medicine these days, and the forefront of science, and the forefront of how we're going to actually get ahead of all of these mental wellness issues and have a benefit in people's lives.
All right. So that is quite interesting, right? With all that's happening with the gut-brain axis. So if this is new information to you, let me know. Let me know down below if this is new information to you. Okay. I'd love to see. Yes. Okay, good. Yeah. It's not, again, something that's not well known. And Dr. Talbot himself, even I've been privileged to talk to him at events, and he says he remembers when he first started into this field many years ago, other scientists were laughing at them and, saying, no, this is like crazy, Lola Gunnarolla stuff, and they weren't taking it seriously, but it's actually quite a serious thing. So, all right, we'll continue. Here we go. There's also something called the heart-brain axis, which we're not going to dive into a lot, but it's your third brain. So we have the brain in your head, your gut brain, and your heart brain. Gut brain axis is GBX. The neurotransmitters running between the heart brain is HBX. So it's the third brain. So we're not going to go into a lot of detail here, but just know that reducing inflammation, balancing your blood sugar does wonders for bringing down the cholesterol and blood pressure, which all contribute to your heart health. Okay. All right. So here you can see some of the neurotransmitters that we rely on to keep us functioning and feeling good, like what Dr. Talbot was talking about here. So with the gut-brain axis, you have your serotonin, 90 to 95% of that's your happiness hormone. 90 to 95% is made in your gut. And without enough serotonin, your body can't produce the melatonin, your sleep hormone. Melatonin, by the way, if you're taking melatonin, again, not judging, just information. All of the melatonin out there on the market is synthetic. And the longer you take a synthetic melatonin, because you can't get natural melatonin, only your body can make it. If you're taking synthetics, your body will eventually stop or slow down its own production. So yeah, so you need to do things that will help your body to create more of it itself. Dopamine, that's your motivation and reward hormones, is also made in the gut, 60 to 70%. So more of that, like he said, is made in the gut than the brain. And GABA is key for helping to manage your anxiety and stress and help you just to feel calmer. So if you're one of those people that's anxious a lot, probably your GABA is not being produced enough. And 50%, half of it, is being produced in your gut. So if these are things you're experiencing or having difficult with, these are your gut gaps. And then the norepinephrine, the oxytocin, the endorphins are all to do with the heart-brain axis. Okay, so taking a look at what we can do to help fill in those gaps. More specifically, the gut gaps, right? So with stabilizing the blood sugar and balancing the hormones, you need to fill the gaps in nutrition and the gut gaps specifically, because 70% of all your health comes from your gut. And you saw how many hormones and neurotransmitters are made there, right? So in order to heal any injury that has occurred to the microbiome, we need to concentrate on filling those gut gaps. So the gut lining is only one cell thick. So think about it. When there's that chronic inflammation, remember the icky scab, yucky. Think about that constantly on the inside, and it's causing permeations to happen, like little compromises, little tears in that wall. And so things that are supposed to be contained are not, and they're getting through into other parts of your body, and that's causing all the issues. Okay. So again, food is a foundation. So adding in the ones that feed and support your microbiomes, good bacteria is key. All right, so the fermented foods like we see there, the kefir, the yogurt, the kimchi, sauerkraut, they contain probiotics that, or the good bugs, the good microbes. They're helpful for feeding those good bacteria. And then the fiber in the prebiotic fibers are, your garlic, onions, bananas, asparagus, nuts, legumes. There's a few more, right? But prebiotic fibers. So the prebiotics are the food for the good bacteria. So one is the good bacteria, one's the food. And then there's phytobiotics and other things that you can add to support those as well. So is anyone here eating fermented foods on a regular basis or adding more fiber? Okay. And by adding more fiber, if you're eating like bran cereal or the Fiber One granola bars, those are processed and they're actually doing more damage than good. So there's much better ways you can get your fiber. So who's doing more fiber and who's doing fermented foods? Both F words, but they're the good F words, right? And if we're not, we should be adding those. So consider adding those in. It's really going to help. And then we have supplements and probiotics. I'm going to kind of pick on probiotics is one that you can get in supplement form, and it's really a hot topic, right? Like everyone's talking about probiotics. And I'm going to tell you a little story about probiotics here in a bit. But how many of you are taking a probiotic supplement right now? Drop a P if you're taking a probiotic. Okay. And so we can answer some of these questions on the screen. The biggest question to ask is why? Why are you taking a probiotic? I ask because most people I ask usually say, because it's good for me. Aren't I supposed to be taking probiotics? Someone told them, or they heard somewhere they should be taking it. So they went to the health food store, grabbed one they thought looked good or that was on sale or whatever, because they're probably all the same, right? Nope, they're not. There are 100 trillion with a T, bacteria in your gut, in your microbiome. There are 500 different strains of probiotics. They don't all target the same thing, okay? So some probiotics target diarrhea, others for constipation, some for digestion, some for bloating, some for anxiety and stress, and all things mental wellness. But they all have their niche, okay? So with so many options, so many bacteria, it's pretty easy to see that if you don't know why you're taking it and what you're looking to target, it's kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping it sticks, okay? So 8 Weeks to Optimal Health is our body, mind, and lifestyle program. It's all about the BS of the body, mind, and lifestyle. So BS for balancing blood sugar, like we talked about, creating hormonal balance. Then there's the BS of behavior science. That's how your mood, motivation, and overall happiness are affected by the gut-brain axis and the brain connection. And then there's the BS that directly impacts your lifestyle and the quality of life, your belief system. And we cultivate and build on all of these three here, which is exactly why we talk about the different supplements in the 8 Weeks to Optimal Health, because it takes all 6 plates to be up and spinning in order to create a healthy body, happy hormones, happy mind, and to be able to live the lifestyle that you love and without all those symptoms. Because when you focus on the health, then the symptoms subside, okay? Because if the health is not working, that's why symptoms are exactly that, symptoms of something that's not working. So I have always said, my whole career, I've always said that no program should ever be based around a product, okay? That being said, the right products, knowing what they're for, why you'd use them, etc., like the probiotics, together with the right program, come alongside to fill in those nutritional gaps and the gut gaps so that you can optimize your health. And so knowing what to expect and how a product will help you is important. So there's different products for different areas of health. And just like the world is recommending random probiotics everywhere, choosing one that helps heal the microbiome and allow your body to start making those hormones and neurotransmitters once again is always a good choice. So it's important to go with natural anytime that you can, okay? Especially when you're dealing with things that affect your hormones. Ideally, something that supports your body's production and regulation of those neurotransmitters, as well as fixing up the potholes and removing the car wrecks along the GBX highway, will give you the most noticeable benefits. And so one that I found that's working extremely well, and I know that Ange uses this with her clients as well too, is clinically proven to do just that. It's called Happy Juice. I know it has a funny little name, but it's for a reason. And looking at the results, it's not hard to see why women in peri and menopause experience some, if not all of these symptoms on a daily basis. So drop me down below if something is listed on the slide that you've been struggling with here. Like, wouldn't you want to like decrease your irritability by 60% and decrease your anxiousness by half, cut it in half, and 105% decrease in all your negative mood states. What? That's awesome. Decreasing overall distress, lowering confusion, lowering fatigue. This one I love here, 211% better positive mood, right? And 44% increase in vigor, which is how we show up in the world and how we can put energy and oomph into all the stuff that we do on a daily basis. So it's based in Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine, using things like mango leaf, lychee, palm fruit, lion's mane mushroom for memory, acetylcholine, which is a precursor to those neurotransmitters we talked about, green coffee bean, matcha, rooibos tea for energy, nothing that's going to spike and crash you with that energy, and targeted probiotics, targeted probiotics, prebiotics, and phytobiotics to help with digestion, restoring microbiome, lowering cortisol, as well as optimizing mental wellness, increasing your stress resilience, which is where all those crazy meno symptoms send us, right? Like stressed. So super, I have found, I personally use this myself every day and have found an amazing, just so much calmer when stress happens, right? We've had a lot of upheaval in my life, lots of it good in the last couple of years, but again, stress can come from the good or the not so great things, right? And so knowing the source, whenever you're choosing whatever products you are choosing out there, wherever you are, knowing the source and the quality of what you're taking is so important. There are so many products out there that don't have quality controls, don't test. Some don't even contain what they say they do on the label. Any that I share with my clients or link on my website or refer people to, I know the source and I am comfortable with recommending. Okay, so just so you know that. A few weeks ago, I was listening to a podcast. So remember that little story I said a second ago that I was going to tell you a little story about probiotics? Okay, a few weeks ago, I was listening to a podcast. A GI doctor was on. She was talking about all about the gut and how important it is to have a robust amount of bifidobacteria, which it is, and how you can get that from fermented foods, which we talked about, right? Putting those in, as well as taking the probiotics and using the prebiotic fibers and all the things, right? And she had become ill at one point and had to take a lot of medications. And anytime we do that, right, antibiotics, it kind of, napalms all the good bacteria in your gut. So she knew that. And because she's a scientist and she runs a lab, she was literally testing herself, right? She's like, oh my gosh, I'm so low. I need to have this level and I have that level and I don't have any. And anyway, so she's trying to restore and build up her own bacteria, the bifido back again. So she tested herself, whatever, started knowing that she's got to take all her probiotic and prebiotic fermented foods and all the stuff. So she's doing all that. And then she goes and tests her levels again and they didn't move much. And she was like super surprised, baffled. She's like, well, what the heck? I'm doing all the things. She had recommended to her patients to do the same thing that she was doing. And nobody's numbers were like, her numbers weren't moving. So finally she thought, okay, perhaps she should test what she's been eating and the things she's been taking. So she went to the local grocery store. She was having yogurt and kefir every day. And so she grabbed all the ones that were there, the kinds of different ones that she tried, and some other ones. And then she also grabbed the probiotics and things that, all the stuff that she could grab locally. And so then she went back to her lab. She handed it all to her people and said, go and test these. I want to see how much bifidobacteria is in here. So, and all the items said that they had the active bacteria in them, right? You ever seen that on the labels of things? Contains active bacteria cultures. Okay. So all of them said that she should be consuming these bifidobacteria. She was shocked because most of the yogurts and the kefir that she tested had very little or none in them, had none of the bacteria that it claimed to have in it. And then 16 out of the 17 probiotics that she tested had none in them either. even though it was on the label claiming falsely, obviously. So there's clearly no regulations with certain products, right? There's no, the company is not doing proper testing to make sure that it has a consistency across this. So I say all this to say just knowing the source is important. Knowing where you're getting your supplements currently, ask if you're at Nature's Fair, if you're getting something from a friend, if you're buying something, ask. If they can't tell you and you have no way of finding out, you may not be getting the results that you're spending good money for. So, okay, so just know that that Happy Juice and some other products here, there are technical data sheets for them. There's ethical sourcing. There is the third-party testing. There's all the things. Like I said, I don't recommend things lightly. All right, here's a few women who have been adding that Happy Juice protocol to their balancing of blood sugar and hormones, and they are super happy. There are tons and tons of testimonies like that. I just thought I'd throw a few up there because they had really lovely pictures and some with their kids. Okay. So creating habits that serve your health. So creating balance in your body with your lifestyle choices, right? So creating habits that serve your health, your hormones, your weight, and menopause goals is important. It's not about changing everything in your world overnight, okay? So I know there's a lot of information today and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do all of this. No, it's about 1%. The 1% principle is what I coach. I've done it for years. The 1% principle is believing that you can do something 1% better today than you did yesterday, right? So I believe everyone can do 1% better for their health today than they did yesterday, right? Like seriously, I mean, and you probably will do more than 1%, honestly, but this is for my all-in kind of people. If you're one of those ladies that, so, you know, they have to be all in, everything has to be, you know, I'm going to wait until it's perfect and then I'm going to start and then I'm going to get her done. I'm just going to dive in and, right? There's that all-in sort of person. And I'm just going to tell you, there's never a perfect time to start anything or do anything new because life never stops happening. And if you wait for the perfect time, you'll always be waiting. Just saying that. So this is a way to get around that with anything you do in your life, whether it's, you know, you're talking about doing this or whether you're talking about other things, instead of being all in and having to have everything 100% perfect and have that, you know, like that just utopian scenario before you give it a go. All you have to do is commit to being all in at 1%. And anybody can do that, right? I mean, in fact, like I said, you'll probably do way more than that most days. But when you commit to 1%, you're never going to let yourself down. You'll always hit the mark. You'll always hit your target. You'll never let yourself down. And so you're less likely to give up on yourself because there's no shaming, there's no guilt. You did your 1%. So if that makes sense to you, drop a 1 down below if you can do 1%. If you can do 1% better tomorrow than you did today. Okay. And here is, I'm going to check the chat now again. Let's see. We got some ones. Yeah, we got some ones. Awesome. Yay. I know you guys are all 10s, but all you got to do is commit to 1. All right. So here's a few things that you can do today to start get the ball rolling. Mindfulness. So I know it's cliche, but when you win the morning, you win the day. And if you take time for mindful meditation or prayer, deep breathing, write it in a gratitude journal. I mean, I have a blessing tracker on my phone. It's pretty powerful. I can scroll through them. Yoga, anything that helps you start your day in a state of calm rather than hit the ground running. Okay. So if you have to get up like 10 minutes earlier, just so you can start the day relaxed and with intention. You're entering the day with low cortisol levels, low stress, as opposed to like that day, you know, you woke up because the power went off and your alarm clock didn't go off and oh my gosh, you didn't even get a shower or eat and you're just like running all day long. You feel like you never caught up, right? Okay, not that. Set yourself up to win. Okay, and prioritizing getting sleep. We talked about that. Moving your body. Again, like I talked about with that intentional physical activity. So what are, you know, something that you can do every day? And so here's just a little chart. We can send you this for anybody who wants. You can just respond to the email back that you got in your invite for this and say, I want the Happy Hormones chart, and I'll send that out to you. So all you got, this is super easy to help you motivate, right? Everybody loves a checklist. Okay, I wouldn't say everybody. I love a checklist. Does anyone else like checklists? It's very satisfying checking things off every day, right? So are you drinking your water? If you're using a product, if you're using the happy juice, are you doing that every day? Did you get it in? Could you spend 15 minutes outside every day? You should. Could you move for 30 minutes? Maybe if it's not 30 minutes, maybe you're starting with 10. You start where you're at. Can you add 3 things you're thankful for to your gratitude list? Did you eat a healthy meal and a snack today? Did you have protein today? Did you sleep for 8 hours? Okay, things that you can check off on daily, right? Super, super simple. And then things that help to help with your hormones, your happy hormones, things you can do weekly or monthly. And if you'd like this list as well too, I'm happy to send that to you. So just again, respond back to your email invite and say, I want those graphics, please, and I will send them out to you. Okay? Happily. So now I know many of you ladies are already doing lots of the great things for your health. You're eating well, you're getting in some exercise, you're drinking water, I'm sure, but you're still having the hot flashes, the brain fog, the fluff around the middle. And I know that before getting on this call tonight, some of you were right on the verge of just throwing in the towel, resigning to like, this is how it's going to be, right? So please don't do that. If what you're hearing tonight makes sense and you feel that this is something you need, let me know in the comments, right? So if this is something you need, say yes. And so there are tools. We have tools here at Fit Nutrition. I have a background in education, right? So I provide tools and lessons and things that help you learn. You get a Fit Nutrition program library portal. You log in and you do your lessons every single day with me. And you have a recipe box. The recipe box is always expanding. New recipes in there every day. There's almost 400 in here. And then we have the community of support. So in month 1, you balance your blood sugar, get rid of the inflammation, and learn how to fuel your body in a way that creates hormonal balance, stabilizes your blood sugar, and turns on your metabolism again. Month 2 is where you ignite your mindset. The BS of the behavioral science, where you kick and address any limiting beliefs you have around food. You kick them to the curb, any limiting beliefs you have around your body, the diets, how, whether you're worth it or not, all of that kind of stuff. But remember, so I'm a behavior specialist, right? So without addressing those bits, that mind bit, I know that it won't stick. Just learning how to eat isn't enough. Okay, you have to have the mindset piece there because that recruits and brings you to beyond 8 weeks, and that's your belief system. As I said, 8 weeks is just the beginning. It's not a start and a stop. It's the launch pad to the rest of your healthy life for a lifetime of health and happy hormones and food freedom and showing up for yourself and believing that you're worth it. So knowledge is power. And once you learn something, no one can take that away. So what I need from you though, should you decide to dive in and become a fit lifer here, you need to be able to commit 15 to 20 minutes per day to do your homework. Remember the lessons? That's the catch. You have to be able to show up for yourself for 15 minutes a day. Okay. And honestly, if you can't give yourself 15 minutes, I don't know, right? You're worth so much more than that. But as women, we're so used to putting ourselves last, right? Anyone ever done that? Like everybody goes in front of you. You're in a long line of husband, kids, the family dog, the neighbor, like everybody's there. And then you're at the back, right? It's time to stop putting yourself at the back of the line and start putting yourself, making you a priority. Because if you don't take care of you, how can you take care of them? And honestly, you can't pour from an empty cup. Okay, so here are some of the tools, like I just said below. We've got the recipe box, we've got the 8 weeks group. This is a safe space in our community here where there's over 1,300 members in here living the program and loving their lives. And so many of them have been there for many years. Some of them have just started their journey just like you. I have a lovely client who's 84. She has just started a couple of weeks ago and already her blood sugar numbers are coming down, and that was her goal. And I'm super excited for that. So yeah, and then the recipe box is always growing, and wherever you start today, as the portal keeps growing, I keep putting in more information in there because it's a learning portal so that, you can keep learning as your journey goes. This is a journey. As long as we're here, we should be learning, but it doesn't cost you any more at all. Okay. So what if you could put out the hot flashes and calm the cortisol and manage the moods and lose all the bloat and increase your energy, all of these things? You can. Right? I'm living proof because the science has shown it. We just talked about it. You saw the scientists, you saw the stuff. I'm living proof and my clients are living proof. For decades, women have been lied to. The world lied, making us believe all the crazy is something you have to go through, like a rite of passage or something, just something that happens, but it's not. It will happen, but you don't have to live with it. It will happen if you've been doing things that don't serve your body. So start doing things that serve your body, right? And you can reverse all those. So I hope that from what I've shown you today, you have a different view now, a different perspective, and you're excited to take back control of your health, your hormones, your weight, and reverse all those symptoms and not suffer through another diet to do it, right? And I know that a lot of you put done in the chat when I asked if you were done with diets. So yes, that makes me super happy. So if you're ready to do this, if you're ready to take that next step, to show up for yourself, to do this for you, then I want you to go ahead and drop "I'm ready" in the comments. Okay, I want to see who's ready. Who's gonna show up for themselves? Who wants to show up for themselves? Because you guys are worth it. Everybody here is so worthy. And awesome, Elizabeth. Good job. Proud of you. Like being ready to show up for yourself. Ready, Carmen. Awesome. Love it. Love it. Angela, you are a rock star. Susan, I'm ready. Oh, NM. I'm not sure who that is, but good job. Love it. I love seeing all the readies in there. Perfect. Elizabeth, great. That just makes my heart so happy because honestly, we don't have to suffer. So it's awesome to see so many of you ready to put yourself first. I know it's probably been a while, right? Okay, so you absolutely deserve it and you are worth it. So hang on to that. So with your 8 weeks to optimal health program is everything you need to get all your plates up and spinning, to create that hormonal balance, stabilize your blood sugar, heal your gut, bring down the inflammation, ignite your mind so you can lock it all in, and as well as the strategies and tips needed for how to navigate beyond 8 weeks and when life happens, because it will, right? Life just doesn't stop happening. So this is what you get. It's a lifetime membership. So you're kind of stuck with me. I love being connected with my clients. Lifetime membership. We're going to have 3 team coaching calls. So all of you here today that are ready, we're going to do coaching calls over Zoom. You're going to have text and email access directly to me. Ask me questions. I love it. I want to know where you're at. I will send out texts and emails to you. You're going to have that fit and for to do as the oil change anytime that's a standalone program. You get that extra anytime you feel the need to do that after Christmas, after a holiday, after a cruise, whatever. You get your 28-day transformational journal. Aha, that's the mindset piece that we talked about. Also as a standalone, because when life happens, you need to readjust. And that's a whole nother lesson right there. You're going to get food lists, portion guides for male and female. So your hubby can join you if he so chooses. And you know what? A lot of times the guys do end up getting on. I've had a lot of women say, you know, my husband's lost 15 pounds since I've been doing this. Yeah, just depends, you know, who's running the show in the house, but you get the shopping list, the meal planners, exercise tips if you want them. I send out my nutrition pack. Remember the happy juice, right? Some of my favorites. And you get the fit recipe box also for lifetime. So as the recipes keep growing, you are already locked in and you get lifetime membership to our 8 weeks is all it takes community on Facebook, right? So that content, I do weekly coaching calls. They get added into there. So there's always more learning and your price today will never go up. The price you pay today gets you everything here, including the lifetime membership. Okay. The program is valued at $2,500. The lifetime membership alone is worth $1,000, really. But because this is the first masterclass ever, thank you for joining. Thank you for being in the premiere, so to speak. You guys get the premiere price. So including the lifetime membership. So not the $2,500, not even $1,500, but for those who are here tonight who said they're ready to take back control of their health and hormones and weight and love your body and live with food freedom. That's the key. You get to do it all and live with food freedom. You get all these amazing assets for just $9.99. So I'm going to get Ange to drop the link in the comments there. Oh, the fit recipe box is your lifesaver. Thank you. You're so welcome. That was recipes. I got to tell you, the fit recipe box are all, a lot of them are family favorites that I had that I've recreated to stabilize blood sugar. So all the recipes are educational and they help you to balance your blood sugar, and they're delicious. There's even Christmas baking recipes in there. You know those cranberry bliss bars from Starbucks? I've made a healthy one. It's in there and they taste amazing. So yeah, I like to have some treats too, because I think we all need to have that. So there's the link to your lifetime membership right there. You can go and click that. And here, restart your menopause journey. You know, like you don't have to deal with all the stuff that you're living with right now. Restart it. And if you're just heading into menopause, that's even better. Just perimenopause or menopause, just get started now. You can get started with your 8 weeks to optimal health and, you know, just feel better, feel like you again. Reverse those, start balancing your hormones, love your body. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. Love your body, love your life, and just live with that food freedom every single day. And that's the key. So there's the link there. Go ahead and click that and reserve your spot. There's only, this isn't going to last forever. Like I said, it's a premiere tonight for you guys. I'm going to come out of here so I can talk with you, and we can do some questions. So yeah, premiere tonight. So premiere price tonight. That's not going to last forever. It's just going to last till the end of tomorrow. So just put that link there. So save that link and click it. And we're going to come here and do some questions now. So I will stop the recording now so that so that you all feel comfortable about asking questions. Okay, so thanks for being here tonight, you guys.